Welcome to CCN TV News, your premier source for local and international news. From the streets of Kingston to the capitals of the world, we are ready to cover you stories that shape our world. Stay tuned for breaking news.
Lurking in waters off Sydney, an unusual sight. 3 Chinese military ships travelling further south than they ever have before.
We are aware of this task group. We are monitoring this task group very closely. It is, as I understand it, operating in international waters.
Australia's Defence Department was watching closely, announcing on February 13 the flotilla was under observation.
Both naval and air force assets have been deployed to make sure that we are monitoring exactly what is occurring here.
For more than a week, the warships quietly made their way down Australia's east coast without incident, until February 21, when their silent sail south ended with a bang. About 9:30 in the morning, the ships let loose, carrying out a live fire exercise in the Tasman Sea, 300 nautical miles off the Australian coast. But despite the Defence Force supposedly monitoring them, Australia had no idea the ships had opened fire. Instead, it was the pilot of a commercial passenger jet who first sounded the alarm. At 9:58 a.m, the pilot of Virgin Flight 161 from Sydney to Queenstown heard a warning from the warships over the radio about the live fire exercises. The Virgin pilot immediately relayed the information to aviation authority Air Services Australia, which issued an alert to all planes in the area.
The only way you knew about this was because a Virgin pilot heard about it. And called in.
Correct.
20 minutes later, an Emirates flight was also warned by the warships, while a Qantas plane flying some minutes behind diverts its path. Dozens of other planes that day also avoid the area.
So, you were ahead of Defence on this?
I wouldn't say we were ahead.
It's not a...
We became aware of the situation because
Alarmingly, the Australian Defence Force knew nothing until 30 minutes after the Chinese ships began their live fire exercise, when Air Services Australia raised the alarm. A failure slammed from all sides.
Is it the case that Defence was only notified via Virgin and Air Services Australia 28 minutes after the firing window commenced?
Yes. The notification was that call that had made from when the firing window opened, and that, in our view, is inadequate notification.
That's not inadequate, it's after it started.
It was extraordinary that the Prime Minister and Defence Minister told us they'd put in place an unprecedented surveillance operation around these 3 warships, and then to have the head of our military, Admiral Johnson,